The thing I'm most thankful for and excited about is our Committee on Workzone Safety. And we've made a reduction in workzone crashes on the Turnpike Commission by more than 20% since we started this committee.
20%?
20%. It's not one innovation, but instead it's a multitude of things that were implemented that help reduce the workzone crashes. You can't put your finger and say it's just this. It's a whole host of things that we increased focus on across multiple departments. And also we needed full support from our executive staff and our commissioners.
That's great. This episode is brought to you by CSG. CSG's SaaS solutions optimize every step of the tolling journey, from billing and payments to customer engagement, helping agencies maximize revenue through smarter, more integrated experiences. Make more, save more, and do more. Visit csgi.com. Well, hello, and welcome to another episode of TollTalk. I am your host, Alex Ficcari, coming to you from Mojo, and I'm really excited today to have this episode because not only do we have a great guest, but we also have a great guest host. Welcome to the show, Pat.
Thanks, Alex. Super excited to be here. Excited to talk to our guest and appreciate the opportunity.
No, absolutely. You know, Pat and I, we've seen each other years now. We're like trade show buddies, and so it's always good to have you. It's awesome to have you on the show.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, who also is great to have on this is Tom Michoni. Tom, how you doing?
Great. Thanks, Alex. Thanks, Pat. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to talk today.
Absolutely.
You did.
That's
Exactly.
quite the job. That's quite the title there. So
Yeah, it's a mouthful.
yeah, well, no, it's great. It's great to have you on the show today. And so before we dig in a little bit, you know, there's a lot of topics we're going to talk about today, and I just have to say, you know, I'm excited about innovation, you know, infrastructure changes, and so Tom, you know, I would love to kind of start, you know, before we dig in too much into these wonderful topics. Tell us a little bit about you and where your background is, and you know, how'd you get into tolling?
Sure. Yeah. So I can start back. Like I'm from Pennsylvania. I've always lived here. So I was born in Pennsylvania, raised in Pennsylvania. My dad was a mechanical engineer, so I learned early on, like just watching him. I always had an inquisitive mind. You know, as a kid, I wanted to know how things worked. You know, I loved building Legos. I wanted to just, you know, see how things formed.
Right.
I did a job shadow with my dad, and I realized that mechanical engineer was not what I wanted to pursue. It was engineering in the field, but not mechanical. So I ended up going to school in civil engineering, and which has many different options. And when I graduated, I ended up at the Pennsylvania Turnpike Commission in a engineer training program, which introduced me to all the different disciplines. You know, they have bridge engineering, railway engineering, reconstruction, railway construction, and I was able to pick traffic. And I've been in traffic engineering now for 20 years.
Oh, wow. 20 years. Okay, great. Yeah. You know, I always told my boys, I said, you know, if you're picking a career, be an engineer, right? You know, and not that I'm an engineer. Of course, I don't tell them to do what I do because they can't do what I do. That's a mistake. But no, I always tell them it's a great focus, you know, foundation for your career. I think being an engineer. So that's fantastic. So I'm a little envious, but traffic engineering. I mean, when you came into this, I hear so many times people kind of stumble into this industry, but you know, it's interesting here from your vantage point because there's so much engineering, it's like Disney World, right? You have so many different things that you could do, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. What I liked about it was that no day is the same. So when you come to work, there's always new challenges, whether it's looking at sign and pavement markings, work zones, you know, how to fix a problem. So if you have a crash problem, let's get in and fix the problem. That's the part I like, is trying to figure out, you know, how we can make things safer for our customers.
Yeah. So Tom, with your experience, and you've been in the industry now for about 2 decades, looking back at how tolling agencies have functioned a decade or two ago, what stands out to you as the biggest shift in thinking about the approach compared to how things operate today?
Certainly. Yeah, I think there's definitely an increased focus in offering transportation and mobility as a service, and ensuring that our customers have an uninterrupted trip without delay. So when they choose, Turnpike is a toll road, like many other toll agencies, customers are choosing to ride that, you know, to travel that roadway. So making sure when they get on that roadway, they're having a good experience, so they'll come back again. And we've been doing, and other transportation agencies have been focusing on the funding of TISMO, transportation systems
Mm.
and management operations. That's what the acronym stands for. Integrating those strategies into projects and processes. So TISMO, it's a set of strategies that focuses on operational improvements,
Hmm.
so you can maintain or even increase your performance of your existing network without having to add extra capacity. So at the Pennsylvania Turnpike Commission, we're a railway that's been here since 1940, and basically followed the old railroad bed.
Yeah.
So adding additional lane and capacity can be challenging at times and
Sure.
cost a lot of money. So we are doing it, but we can't do it everywhere. It's going to take some time. So
Yeah.
in the meantime, let's get the most out of our network we can now.
Right.
And the goal is to get the most performance out of what you have, so that you can get more traffic through there, and increase capacity without adding lanes.
Yeah. And I can definitely see that, when especially Pennsylvania, New Jersey, all that whole region of the country. I mean, there's definitely a lot of logistical. You have eminent domain challenges. You have so many. You have access points and traffic flows. I mean, people don't, I think, fully understand the level of effort that goes into putting an off ramp on, let alone a whole bunch of other aspects. Gantries and systems. I mean, it's a big lift. So, I think that. One of the things that I'm kind of curious about is that you're doing this every day. Like that's what you do during the day. But recently, you've also had another job, right? Didn't you? We just had there was an event for IBTTA in Detroit, and could you mind telling people what was your role there?
Sure. Yeah. Wow. What an experience. I'm thankful for the opportunity to serve as the chief meeting organizer, co-chief with Shannon Benia,
Very
from
good.
Dewberry. And basically what it did was provide me an opportunity to help serve and organize the meeting, get sessions set up, speakers, pick topics. It's a maintenance engineering operations workshop,
Right.
and they have a number of different things. It's hosted in the great Motor City, Detroit.
Yep.
They offer a technical tour of the Gordie Howe Bridge, great bridge that goes into Canada. On the second day, they have a service project opportunity working for the Michigan Urban Farming Initiative. So it's nice to be able to get there early and give back. And with that, the Michigan Urban Farming Initiative provides fruits and vegetables free to anyone in need in that area. So we're going there to help organize their garage and work on some year-round food productions. They have some good sessions on the other days. So there's
Yeah.
2 days of the workshop. They have things such as Vision Zero, how we can get our highways down to zero,
Yeah.
strategies for managing EVs and
Big
AVs,
part. Yeah.
and a few other sessions they have NTSB recommendations. So looking at the Key Bridge, what happened
Sure.
there, and how
Yeah.
to prevent that from happening
Yeah,
again.
and that was right around here. It's really near us. Like that's like a 5-minute drive from here where that took place. So,
And
but yeah,
Tom, fun fact, I'm actually from Detroit, so I appreciated the opportunity to see the Gordie Howe Bridge kind of behind the scenes. I found it just phenomenal. The Henry Ford Museum was great. So thank you so much for all your work that you put into that. Appreciate you. Yeah. And you talked a little bit about the experience while customers are on your roadways, but think about beyond that, right? What are you guys doing to ensure the customer has a great experience beyond the roadway with their invoicing, with their follow-ups, or with their counts?
Yeah, so I mean, as far as steps beyond that, we want to make sure that our customers have readily accessible traffic data. So it's something that they can get right at their fingertips, whether that's through our messages on our signs, or they provide travel times, or advanced notices on their GPS apps like Waze, Google, Apple. If a customer gets, an invoice from us, besides their app, their EasyPass app, that likely means that they went through a gantry without an EasyPass. So then that interaction can be seen as negative, but we try and make sure everything's in advance. We sign things so that our customers have the most enjoyable experience. Nobody likes to get an invoice in the mail with a bill that they need to pay. So we like to make sure that they have an EasyPass before, and if not, they can pre-register with toll by plate.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you've talked before about seeing the driver as a customer, not just as a vehicle passing through the gantry. What does that mean in practice for how your team approaches traffic engineering?
Sure. Yeah, we want to provide our customers with a premium service, and we care here at the Commission deeply about the safety of our employees and our customers both. The customers value the PTC for its reliable convenience. And so at the Turnpike, it's our responsibility to deliver an expectation, to make sure that we continue to maintain our high service levels, and we have to continue working on expanding the services that we provide to meet the evolving needs for our future customers. And we are where we are today because we don't accept status quo. we continue to grow by making new trends in the tolling industry. And even though we're an 85-year-old railway, we recognize that we're still in growth mode, giving us the opportunity, for lots of possibilities. Um, you know, Essentially, if you think a little bit about the commitment we have here, at the Turnpike, we make sure the road is clear, whether that's
Yeah.
clear of incidents, clear of snow.
Yeah.
We recently have had, flooding with all the rain, but we make sure our roadway is clear for our customers.
Yeah.
And it's not just because, we adopt technologies and strategies to be successful, but we also have, successful incident management program to make sure that you keep traffic moving at all times.
That's great.
Yeah. Pat and I obviously have a big, passion for customer experience too. And, and what we do on a daily basis. So it's really reassuring here that that's a big focus of what you're doing. And I am kind of curious though, from gathering that feedback, and seeing it actually come to fruition. Can you maybe talk a little bit about, has there been a time where you did get that feedback and it led into an actual change that people, I don't know, maybe saw it directly or indirectly or experienced indirectly?
Sure. Yeah. So most of our feedback comes through our traffic operations center or for our customer assistance center through
Okay.
phone calls or, emails most days now.
Yeah.
People send, like to go electronically. But the one thing that sticks out for me, I remember we received a number of complaints early on that your customers didn't know where they were, or they were calling in and we were having a hard time figuring out where they were when, hey, I have a flat tire, or I was involved in an incident and I need, an ambulance, I need fire. And we had to figure out where they were. So we looked at installing mile marker signs. So that not only the customers know what mile marker they're at, but what direction they're at. It tells them, hey, you're on Interstate 76. Because a lot of customers get on the roadway, they don't know if they're traveling east or west.
Right.
Yeah.
So when they call in, our we call them traffic operations center technicians or radio dispatchers can tell them, okay, if you locate one of those green signs, read the number on there to me.
Yeah.
Does it have a little shield on there? Tell me what direction you're going, so we can get them service as quick as possible. Because we know quick clearance is a safer roadway. The
Absolutely.
less time somebody spends on the side of the roadway, the safer they are.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And building on that, right? How does your team interpret the data that you guys are collecting to inform your operation and your strategic decisions?
Yeah, so we have a partnership with a number of different agencies, but one that I like to promote is our partnership with Waze. So we
Okay,
receive
great.
data from the app Waze. If there's a vehicle stopped on a roadway, if there's roadway debris, our supervisors get notified that there's debris on the roadway. So they'll
Nice.
look and see, okay, based on a reliability method. So if a number of people hit the thumbs up,
Yeah.
we see if we have a camera, can we view it? If not, we dispatch our maintenance utility worker, we call them MUW, out to the scene, say, hey, there's report of object on road out there.
Wow.
Take a look, see where it's at, and then go out there and find, oh, it's tire debris. Or, we have cameras on our trucks, so we can actually view the
Wow.
utility worker as they arrive on scene.
Oh, that's fascinating. That now I'm assuming there's like some AI components tied in there as well, correct?
Yeah, we're working with AI to get basically to, we haven't got there yet, but we're working to get it to where it's okay. If there's enough reliability method
Sure.
behind the people's reports, that it'll automatically turn on signs. But right now we still have human interaction where, it comes in, we like to verify it before we post messages. We don't want to have something out there that's not, a
Right.
message on the board when something's not the
Right. Yeah. Vetted. So
So.
no, that's great. So Tom, with all this data being collected, we're thinking about AI and all of this that's coming in. I guess in the end, that data confidence that you're looking for, do you think that's something that's going to take you a month, a year, 5 years? Like how, I'm sure you're going through processes and ways to solidify your knowledge and make that experience, solid. I mean, what does that plan look like for you? I mean, do you think it's, you're there, you're ready, or what's your process like?
Yeah, we're slowly getting there. So I guess I'll give you an example with speeds. We get vehicle speed information now,
Okay.
and we have it in the dashboard, so we can see for each segment of the turnpike what the vehicle's average speeds are.
Okay.
So if we all of a sudden see it, slow down speed, we know, okay, something's going on there, whether it's weather or an incident. And we look at adjusting our speed limits. So in the wintertime, if we see, okay, all of a sudden a number of vehicles are slowing down, we need to adjust the speed limit accordingly. What you don't want is, a speed differential. Vehicles going at a high rate
Right.
speed and then other vehicles going at a
Yeah.
slow speed. So we currently still, again, use human interaction. We see that there's slowdown speeds. We verify it and we, reduce the speed limit accordingly. But it would be nice at some point to get to the, where the AI is involved.
Yeah.
And it might not be seamless. If it sees a slowdown, it would post messages. I think we're headed that direction. We're just not there yet.
Oh yeah, sure.
Absolutely. So, are there any surprising lessons that you've learned about customer satisfaction in traffic engineering? Maybe things that aren't so obvious unless you're doing the work.
Yeah, if there's an incident, customers like to know what is going on and why they're sitting in stop traffic. So we are a
Yeah.
closed system. Um, we have some areas where, if you're out in the middle part of Pennsylvania where you can travel 30 some plus miles without an exit.
Wow.
Oh,
And if
wow.
there's an incident, you're now stuck there.
Yeah.
So customers want to know, okay, why is traffic not moving? How long am I going to be here?
Yeah.
What do I need to do? So we created a new text messaging service. It's called 47676. So if you text, any word, it could be info, help to 47676. It provides you with real-time communication and updates. It'll
Okay.
tell you, what happened. You know, basically how long it's going to be till the road can be reopened, how it's being handled, and how long it'll be till you can be back on your way. Because
Yeah.
the last thing one is a customer sit out there for hours,
Yeah.
not know what's going on.
Right.
They get frustrated.
Yeah.
Truck drivers go to sleep. We want to make sure that they're ready to go when the road reopens.
I
Yeah.
love that. So if I'm on your roadway, right, and I'm stuck in traffic and I'm texting, the next time I'm taking a trip on the road, do I have to re-opt in for that text message, or does it remember that I gave
question.
consent the first time?
You have to re-opt in, yeah, and
Okay.
you have to be stopped in traffic. So we don't want
Okay.
somebody texting while they're driving.
Right.
It's when you're
Ah,
in,
Right.
in
nice.
non-moving traffic, or you can have your passenger do it. You're sitting there, But yeah, you text and you opt in. You choose to opt in each time the incident's handled.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Now, and that sounds like, it just makes you think about, the forward future way of thinking, like, and how can you optimize that experience?
Now a message from our sponsor.
The business of tolling is complex. Trusted by the world's most respected brands, CSG transforms every customer interaction, communications, billing, payments, and more into a smarter, more profitable outcome. Make more, save more, do more. CSG, solving tolling's toughest challenges simply.
Recently we just spoke with JJ Eden. He was on one of our shows, and he was kind of sharing his vision and how you can shape this seamless interoperability, smarter infrastructure, things along those lines. And then from your perspective, I'm really curious about, as a traffic engineer, where do you see the industry heading? Like, JJ views the vehicle really being a part of the experience, not so much the app or this or that. Like, it's changing it. I'm really curious from your vantage point. How do you see it changing?
Yeah, I would agree with what JD had to say. I think it's basically we need to communicate directly with the vehicle moving forward. That's where we're headed. Where the vehicle communicates directly with us,
Yeah.
so we can tell the vehicle there's a work zone ahead. This is what your speed limit is. And the vehicle knows to slow down because there's workers right behind a cone.
Yeah.
And right now the driver may or may not slow down, or the driver might be impaired.
Right.
But if we could tell the vehicle in advance, hey, there's an incident, or we can tell the vehicle there's a curve up here. You need to slow down to this speed.
Yeah.
Again, the driver looks at signs, may or may not obey. The vehicle, if it's told in advance, it knows, okay, at this mile marker, I slow down. And then once
Yeah.
I get through there, I can speed back up. I think that those are all things that, we're headed towards. We're not there yet, but it's exciting to be in this industry to see this start to take shape.
I've never thought about that use case, right? Telling the
Yeah, sure.
vehicle to slow down ahead of time and having the autonomous vehicles actually slow down to prepare for whatever's ahead. I've never given that any thought. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. So, keeping on the theme of having your crystal ball out, where do you, if we fast forward 2, 4, 8 years down the road, what do you think we'll be saying about the leading tolling authorities then, right? What will they be doing differently than they're doing today?
Sure. Good question. Yeah, the leading toll agencies will be keeping up with the shifting trend towards electric and autonomous vehicles. And the transportation infrastructure will need to be able to support the increased fleet of EVs and provide for them, a way for them to charge somehow, either while they're driving or at some sort of interval. Because right now EVs are, considered more of a local. If you're traveling from Ohio to New Jersey across, state of Pennsylvania, how do you refuel your battery?
Yeah.
Yep.
Tolling agencies will also need to be able to balance an increase in AVs, autonomous vehicles, and how a mixed fleet of that looks, how it'll impact driver safety. And also embracing data to better understand our customers' needs and habits in order to evolve customer service to meet future needs.
Yeah. Kind of curious when you think about that in trends and change. I'm curious, what do you have any particular thoughts on what would be something disruptive to an agency that wasn't truly prepared for the struggles of these changing trends, autonomous vehicles, the electromagnetic charging, or any of the different technologies there. Is there any big glaring, big red flags that are just out there that you're saying, people should be paying attention to this?
Yeah, I mean, so as you think about electric vehicles, the one thing that comes to my mind right away is the battery. Right now, if somebody runs out of fuel, you can just you give more fuel, which we do that at the Turnpike. We have our maintenance utility worker provide fuel. But if somebody has an electric vehicle and their battery dies, how do you, right now, like to tow them? You can't really charge them up on the roadway if they're blocking a lane. So that's one thing. Also looking at fires differently. Vehicle fires with electric vehicles burn very hot. You can't just put them out. They burn sometimes for quite a bit of time. So we're looking right now, and that's one of the things we talked about at the IBTTA workshop on how agencies can prepare for those. If a vehicle catches fire,
Great.
Especially if it's near your, strategic infrastructure like a bridge,
Right.
what do you do?
Yeah. Yep.
And we've seen fires take bridges down. Like we've seen that, like Atlanta. You name it. There's been historical instances of that. So that's a real good point. And EVs, while strong, can catch fire.
Absolutely.
It's happened, right?
Absolutely. So are there technologies or infrastructure concepts that you believe will be table stakes in the next 5 years, even if they feel futuristic now?
Yeah, not just tolling, I think, but moving towards a roadway that provides tolling as a service. I think there'll be increased opportunities to provide transportation funding by tolling other roadways, maybe, or bridges, HOV,
okay.
hot lanes. And then also the opportunity, I know we're looking here at the opportunity to manage tolling or parking for other venues. So like maybe offering tolling for sporting events, special events, things of that nature.
Yeah. We had another episode as well, as we were talking about how typically the tolling industry lags a little bit behind technology trends, right? And that it's actually probably a good thing that we're not bleeding edge technology, like at the blade, like bleeding, but we are cutting edge, right? So it is, sometimes letting other people cut their teeth. And when you're talking about safety and transportation and infrastructure, it's probably a good thing not to be necessarily pushing too far ahead, at the very tip of the blade. But I am kind of curious as to, how do you prepare the authority, or how do you prepare to evolve in this and not just react to the circumstances? Because, typically that's, if you're not leading and you're not cutting, you're reacting, right? But here, I think in transportation, we are choosing to not necessarily be cutting edge, but then are we really reacting, or is it something else? Like how do we prepare?
Yeah, I think you need to embrace a forward-thinking mindset and anticipate change.
Yeah.
And by doing that, you're also embracing innovation and culture and adaptability. So you need to stay informed and monitor trends while investing in continuous learning and developing skills for your employees, leveraging technology and data you have, and then also fostering collaboration and building partnerships amongst the other communities around you and other agencies that are in your vicinity. And also, get involved in agencies like IBTTA so you can see what other agencies are doing across the country.
Yeah. And that's a great, and just seriously, a little shout out to IBTTA, because not only did you obviously just recently work with the Detroit event, but I have to say, for those who aren't a member, you should definitely think about it, because when you're talking about getting immersed in the comings and goings of the industry, there's no better venue there. Tom, as we start to kind of wrap things up, I am kind of curious. What's we don't usually have a lot of engineers that are in the engineering role actively. Like, they've been engineers at one other point. So having you on the show is fantastic. So I'm really kind of intrigued by your particular vantage point on this one. Is there one innovation you would say that is flying under the radar, that is, has game-changing potential for the industry, that, isn't being talked about right now?
I know for the Pennsylvania Turnpike Commission, the thing I'm most thankful for and excited about is our Committee on Work Zone Safety. And we've made a reduction in work zone crashes on the Turnpike Commission by more than 20% since we started this committee in 2015.
20%.
20%. It's not one innovation, but instead it's a multitude of things that were implemented that have helped reduce the work zone crashes. You can't put your finger and say it's just this. It's a whole host of things that we increased focus on across multiple departments. And also, we needed full support from our executive staff and our commissioners.
That's great. What are some of those innovations? I'm just curious if we could dive into some of those, maybe one or two specific innovations that you mentioned.
Sure. So it's a 5-pronged approach. And, we look at reducing traveler exposure to work zones, So one of the big things we did was we looked at eliminating median signs. For a long time, we had set up signs on both sides of the roadway, which doubled the time we were out there. So we reduced exposure to our workers and the customers by reducing
Wow.
the median signs.
Okay.
And we standardized our work zones to make sure that all of
Okay.
our work zones look the same, whether you're traveling, all the way out towards Ohio
Nice.
or down, towards New Jersey, that the work zone should look the same and not be confusing for our customer.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
great.
That's like setting a visual expectation, familiarity,
Yep.
comfortability with those scenarios. That's awesome.
So Tom, what advice would you give to other authorities or traffic engineers who want to put the customer experience front and center?
Sure. I would just say one death is too many.
Love it. Yeah.
That's
Yep.
why safety has always been
Yep.
and always will be a priority and a key part of our culture here at the PA Turnpike. Stems from caring about our employees and our customers. We're passionate about safety. I personally am passionate about safety. We'll continue to prioritize safe speeds, safe work zones, and clearing our incidents quickly. And we also invest in new technology and equipment to remain on the cutting edge of roadway safety.
Wow.
That's
great.
awesome.
That's, Tom, it is wonderful to hear that from you, because I think there's, people that are there, at the on the roads and building these infrastructures and seeing it, we don't always get to hear that. And so to hear it's literally everywhere, all vertically, horizontally, all throughout the industry, and to hear you reinforce with such vigor, that's awesome. Especially global safety and that initiative and campaign. So it's great to hear that we share that passion. That's wonderful. Well, Tom, I want to thank you. You've been a great guest. Thank you so much for being on this and allowing Pat and I to sit down and get a little bit more information. So definitely hope you had a good time, and hope you'll even join us again sometime.
Sure. Yeah, Alex, Pat, both. Thank you both for giving me the opportunity. And yeah, it's been enjoyable. It was a new experience, but a good experience.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Well, I also want to thank Pat. Thank you so much for joining us as a guest this time. I hope you'll come back and do it again.
Hey, thanks for having me. I hope to get the invite to come back.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again, Pat Wicketts and CSG, for being on one of our sponsors. And thank you for watching this episode of Toll Talk. We hope to see you again, and have yourself a great day.